Alright, so today we had another weekly Warriors Den live stream. And as with every season, we got to see the previous season's state of balance. So we had stuff on the show along with the win matrix and pick rates for each game mode. So as usual, I'll be going over everything I found important from the stream, so let's not waste any more time and get right into it. So starting things off, let's look at the stats for duels. I'm not going to talk about these for too long, but the first one is going to be the full population, which is a majority of the player base besides a few outliers and include both PC and console. In the top 5, we've got Shigoki, Jengjun, Kensei, Blackprior, and Orochi. And at the bottom, we've got Peacekeeper, Highlander, Conqueror, Gladiator, and Nobushi. Now the first thing I think we all noticed was that Shigoki was sitting pretty at the top along with Jengjun. Shugo did receive a rework in Season 9, and while it's not perfect, it's a lot of fun to use and got me into using Shigoki a bit more regularly. He's sitting at first with a 64% win rate and is winning every single matchup, with the only one that's kinda close being with Shinobi. Now, I would just chalk this up to a vast majority of newer players and players who don't take the game seriously at all having a really tough time dealing with his hyper armor, high damage unblockables, and his access to the Demon's Embrace with the soft feint. But then when we take a look at the matrix from Platinum and above players, which again isn't a super strict bracket as it's not too hard to get into Platinum, Shigoki is still near the top in second place. I think a lot of people just don't really know that you can get away from Shigoki pretty easily and then decide to engage with Shigoki's mix-up, which even when you decide not to roll away, it's pretty easy to read and counter. I think I should say this though, when looking at these sets of data, we've got to understand that there are a ton of players who truly do play this game casually. I'd say the vast majority of players that play this game play it very, very casually and are just here to have fun and enjoy the game and its characters and theme, even the Platinum and above players. I'd say maybe even more than half of them don't even engage in any sort of discussion surrounding the game outside of with their friends, and they couldn't care any less about tier lists or win data, and we need to take that into consideration. So of course, we're going to see some strange things on these charts. Also, these sets are just one point of data. This isn't the only thing that UB goes off of when making decisions, as that would just be a terrible idea. So try not to look at these lists, see a hero at the very bottom, and say for certain that that character is just awful, as you'll see that's not the case most of the time. But they are fun to look at and talk about, so that's what we're going to do. Anyways, I think we all knew Jengjun would still be high on the list. His playstyle is really tricky for people who don't know what to look out for. Kensei is at third, above Blackprior. I thought they'd be switched around given how much time everyone's had to play against Kensei, and with Blackprior being brand new with a safe bash and easy to use offense, I thought he'd be above Kensei in full population, but I guess not. This does hold true in Platinum above though, with the top 3 consisting of Jengjun, Shigoki, and Blackprior. Toward the bottom of the full pop list, we see Peacekeeper still struggling even after she got a few more improvements. I'm not really sure when Peacekeeper will ever be truly great again. She loses all but one matchup here. UB has been coming back to her and they have been trying to improve her, but she just can't catch a break right now. Hopefully one day in the future though, she'll be a hero that's a bit more fun to use and can be a bit more useful. Rounding out the bottom in duels is Highlander, Conqueror, Gladiator, and Nobushi, and surprisingly Warden is down there as well. I can see why a few of these heroes could be so low, but Warden and Conqueror are just flat out good heroes. Maybe not the most glamorous, but they do beat out a majority of the heroes in this game. In the tier list, Warden and Conqueror are at the top in S tier. In the Platinum above matrix, we see that Nobu, Glad, Centurion, Highlander, and Warden are rounding out the bottom. So as we see here, Peacekeeper, Valkyrie, Aramusha, and both pre-rework Lawbringer and Raider are above Warden for some reason, so do with that what you will. The dual pick rates were a little different than I expected. I thought Blackprior would be on top of all the pick rate charts, being the new hero and all, but in duels full pop, Orochi was actually at number 1, followed by Warden, BP, Kensei, and Centurion, with Plat Plus being Warden at the top, followed by Black Prior, Orochi, Shigoki, and Kensei, with Nusha sitting at the bottom of both pick rate charts. And another interesting thing that I think we can see is that the Wu Lin are sitting at the bottom of the dual pick rate charts for full population. As for Dominion stats, we see that Jangjun, Aramusha, Kensei, Raider, and Shigoki hold the top 5 spots for the full population win rates, and the top 4% win rates are the same, except they swap out Shigoki for Warlord, with the bottom 5 for full population being, of course, Peacekeeper and Gladiator, followed by Shinobi, Conqueror, and Nusha, while the top 4%'s bottom 5 is again Gladiator and Peacekeeper, followed by Orochi, Valkyrie, and believe it or not, Berserker. The pick rates for Dom went as expected for the full pop, with Black Prior being at the top with 10%, followed by Warden, Orochi, Kensei, and Raider, with the top 4% having Black Prior on top, followed by Raider, Shigoki, Kensei, and Jangjun. And for Breach win rates for the full population, we've got JJ in the lead, followed by Kensei, Aramusha, Warden, and Raider. And for the top 4%, we've got Nusha at the top, which is a bit surprising, followed by Aramusha, Jangjun, Raider, and Black Prior. And as for pick rates, in full pop, Warden is at the top with 12%, followed by Orochi, Black Prior, Kensei, and Centurion, with the top 4% being led by Black Prior again at over 13%, followed by Warden, Kensei, Raider, and Aramusha. You can pause and look through the data if you'd like. I'm not going to go too far into it as I've done so in the past, and not much has changed with what I've got to say besides what I said at the beginning of this video. So if you've seen either one of my previous State of Balance videos, you know what I think of most of this data. If you do have questions or anything for me, you can ask me in the Discord, and if you've got questions for Yubi, they'll be answering questions on next week's show, so if you've got a question for them, you can ask them right on Reddit and they'll pick a few, and I can almost guarantee we'll be hearing something about Raider. Anyways, enough about the data. So Stefan did tell us that they're continuing to look into offense and they'll be working on reducing the effectiveness of escaping pressure. So he mentions that next season we could be seeing some changes to disengagement, that being the dodge rolls and whatnot. We thought that we might see some of those changes sometime this season, like with the mid-season patch, but next season is fine too, as long as whatever they're working on works, as some heroes really have a tough time against opponents who just roll away from their mix-ups, as there's just not much you can do about it. I am very interested in how they'll go about this and how it'll affect the game and the heroes. Literally every single game mode will be more interesting if people couldn't just roll away from certain heroes, especially duels. They'll just have to be careful, as rolling away in 4s is still something I want to be available. I don't mean rolling away from mix-ups or pressure. I'm talking about being able to roll away from an engagement if I'm low on health or need to retreat, or rolling away from a few bashes that are coming at me at the same time, things like that. Another thing he mentioned was that they're still trying to improve offense. In short, it sounds like we'll be seeing more offense that requires the defender to make a read rather than just react to everything coming their way. They don't want the game to continue being my reactions are better than yours and so on. So it'll be interesting to see how heroes change as we move forward, and we'll see if they'll be changing heroes, one by one, or making general changes to the combat. With prediction-based combat, attacks have to be faster, so I'd assume we'll be seeing more soft feints or interesting attacks like Raider's new stun tap, with how the indicator is different than the actual attack duration. We see how people are reacting to stun tap right now, and I mainly think it's because of the actual stun and the stamina damage. I think people would be a bit more accepting of the attack if it was toned down a bit. Hopefully next week they go a little further into what they plan on doing to make offense a bit less reaction based. Other than that, we've got a new effect, and tomorrow starts another round of double XP, which is great. I feel like we just had one before the start of the season, so if they want to give us more of these extra XP fests, I'm all for it. They also talked about tournaments. If you want to find tournaments, you can go to Battlefy and search up For Honor, and you'll find the upcoming For Honor tournaments. or you can follow the arena on Twitch. They also shouted out our tournament that we held a few days ago. That was also really cool. I haven't even talked about that tournament yet. I plan on recapping it for you guys shortly, but just know it turned out great. And that was about it for the Warriors Den this week. Not much to look at for today. It looks like we'll be seeing a lot more next week, as whenever they do those Q&As, we get a ton of information regarding the future of the game. They did talk about the Xbox audio bug though, and let us know that they are working on a fix for it. In the meantime, you should be able to just disconnect and reconnect your headset, and it should work fine. They also talked briefly about the rewards, but didn't say anything new, so we'll still be waiting on a fix. Anyways, that's all I've got for this video. As usual, I do want to hear from you guys, so talk to me down in the comments about anything we talked about in this video. And as always, if you liked the video, feel free to leave a like and sub if you're new, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.